Even after all these years, it's difficult for us to separate the Charlo twins. You want differences? Yes, Jermell was born 1 minute after Jermall, and yes, Jermell is about an inch shorter. What they share, however, is unique. The Charlos are the only twins in history to have won world titles in the same division. No two boxing careers are identical, of course, and the twins have taken divergent paths. Coming out of the amateurs, Jermell was the prospect who signed with a power promoter. And before fighting for a world title, Jermell was matched a bit tougher than Jermall. In a string of fights from 2011 to 2016, Charlo faced 12 demanding opponents in a row, defeating contenders like Demetrius Hopkins, who was 33-2-1, and top 10 mainstay Vanis Martirosyan, who was 35-1-1. He also occasionally flashed the type of power that rivaled his bigger punching big brother. One fight before challenging for his first world title, Charlo did something that certainly separated him from Jermall. He opened his own gym, and he changed trainers, replacing Houston's Ronnie Shields, who had guided both Charlos, with Dallas's Derek James, the trainer of Errol Spence Jr. In its own way, that was a declaration of independence. In May 2016, Charlo, 27-0 and 2 days after turning 26 years of age, fought for the vacant WBC Super Welterweight title. He faced John Jackson, the son of former world titleist and legendary power puncher Julian Jackson. Early on, Charlo was fortunate that he was facing the son and not the father.
And there's a nice left hook to the liver by John Jackson.
Jackson confused him, moving laterally, suddenly attacking with crisp, straight combinations, and defending himself well.
Oh, that left hook landed on the end of that combination. Yet to really rock Charlo, but he has scored effectively. This is round number 8. We are scheduled for 12.
The judges scored only one of the first 7 rounds for Charlo.
And Charlo on the attack.
Then in an instant, Charlo broke through.
But here's Charlo finishing Jackson. That's it! History made in Las Vegas!
Wow.
Jermell Charlo joins his brother Jermall as champions in the same weight class. Happy belated birthday. Where did that come from?
After Charlo landed a right, Jackson turned away, a cardinal sin in the boxing ring. Charlo added a left hook, and just like that, in round 8, referee Tony Weeks called a halt. And just like that, Jermell Charlo had created a slice of history. He was a world titleist at 154 pounds, as was his twin brother.
The world, Jermell, Iron Man Charlo.
Charlo's first defense was against the once-beaten Charles Hatley.
These opening rounds, both of them just trying to fight off the ring rust as Charlo caught him with a right hand, and that backed Hatley up momentarily.
The mandatory challenger willingly traded punches until he was dropped by a right hand in the 3rd round.
And Hatley has remained orthodox as again he tastes the leather. Down goes Hatley for the 7th time in his career.
Once Charlo stopped over-punching, which he has a tendency to do, and started jabbing with conviction, he found a rhythm, mixing his punches and changing angles. An overwhelming 22-punch flurry early in the 6th brought a conclusive ending.
Charlo goes to work on the body and upstairs. A barrage of punches. And Hatley stumbling forward, gets rocked with that sweeping right, and goes down face first. It's over. Statement made by Iron Man Jermell Charlo.
And he talked to us about that power yesterday, and that was it, showing it off right there.
But Jermell Charlo with a vicious knockout, the 14th of his career as he improves to 29-0. The young lion is roaring tonight.
For Charlo, the next one was the big one, a showdown with the unbeaten and heavily hyped Erickson Lubin in October 2017. Only 22, Lubin had already been cast for superstardom.
He has never faced a caliber of opponent like he is tonight against the champion Charlo.
But as we've seen countless times in boxing, one punch can dash a lifetime of dreams.
Of his knockouts. Oh! Charlo just dropped Lubin!
He's out.
Jermell Charlo has just vanquished Erickson Lubin in the first round! No problems here, Houston. Your champion dedicates that title defense to you. And what a spectacular win for Jermell Charlo.
It was only the first round when Charlo jabbed and the southpaw Lubin ducked directly into the path of a follow-up right hand. Boom. Once again, there had been a sudden ending to a Jermell Charlo fight. Sudden and utterly spectacular. If the 2016 KO of Julian Williams defined Jermell's career up to that point, Jermell's annihilation of Lubin was his defining moment. Lubin had been promising, but relatively inexperienced. The veteran and former titleist Austin Trout was another type of fish altogether. Trout was a lefty and a pure boxer, and 2 years earlier, he had provided a stern test for Jermell. And he provided a stern test for Jermell as well.
Charlo marching down and knocked Trout down with that left hand.
Charlo scored a pair of knockdowns, both with left hooks, not a common weapon against the southpaw.
Oh, and Trout goes down at the beginning of round 9.
As I said during the Showtime broadcast of the fight, the hurtful punches are being landed by Charlo. Charlo deserved the majority decision. He also deserved acknowledgement for largely fighting Trout's style of fight and winning a chess match against a grandmaster.
And still the undefeated WBC super welterweight champion of the world, Jermell Iron Man Charlo.
For Charlo, title defense number 4 wasn't going to be easy. The challenger, Tony Harrison, was taller than Charlo and had a longer reach. But Harrison had been stopped in his 2 losses, and the smart money said Charlo would be too strong, too aggressive, too persistent. Well, Charlo was strong and aggressive and persistent. Charlo was the aggressor and landed the bigger punches, but Harrison jabbed strongly and countered with precision. Suffering the first defeat of his pro career, Charlo questioned the unanimous decision that went against him. And he wasn't alone. In what had been a highly skilled match of pure boxing, Charlo landed 37 more power punches. Some at ringside scored as wide as 117-111 for Charlo. A rematch made sense, and to his credit, Harrison was amenable. But an ankle injury sidelined him, and the return bout wouldn't come for an entire year. In June 2019, Charlo kept active by taking on Jorge Cota, a heavy-hitting lefty from Mexico. Charlo took a couple of rounds to figure out his awkward opponent, then let loose with right hands that finished the fight in the 3rd round. Charlo had sent a direct message, and since Harrison was ringside for the fight, that message had no doubt been received. In December 2019, Harrison Charlo 2 unfolded in Ontario, California. It was a critical moment for Charlo. Win, and he was once again a world titleist who was in his prime. Lose, and he would be dismissed by many as an overhyped underachiever. If anything, the rematch was more competitive than the first fight. Harrison stood his ground this time, even after suffering a knockdown late in round 2. By the 10th, Harrison's approach was a bit more defensive, and in the 11th, Charlo accelerated only a short time after Harrison had mocked him by showboating. Charlo's attack left no doubt. and no need to bring the judges into play. As it turned out, he was ahead on 2 of the 3 cards. At age 30, Jermell Charlo is now 33-1 and a world titleist once more. And in a sense, his career and that of Jermell have come full circle.
The new and now the 2-time WBC Super Welterweight Champion of the World, Jermell Iron Man Charlo.
On the same card on September 26, on Showtime pay-per-view, Jermell will engage in his most significant middleweight fight versus Sergey Derevyanchenko, and Jermell will attempt to secure 3 belts at 154 pounds when he takes on unified titleist Jason Rosario. The Charlos have been demanding bigger fights for a long time. Now they both have them. What they do with them will largely determine their legacies.